birds come and rest. Yeah, yeah. Welcome, friends, to the 7th spiritual lesson on sacramental living. And how apropos that you caught me here in the On Sacred Grounds backyard garden. I'll be doing some planting later on, but let's take a break. Let's head over to the Franciscan Cellars back porch, which is listed on Airbnb. Yesterday's guests have left. Tonight's visitors have not yet arrived, so we have some time to have a little chat about the parable of the mustard seed. Remember last week how I talked about Grey Poupon? Did you know that mustard as a condiment and in recipes has been around since the Roman Empire? Hank Snow has a recipe on his website about natural foods that dates back about 2,000 years. You can find it by Googling the phrase ancient Roman mustard recipe. So how did they make mustard back then? They ground up some mustard seeds into a spicy powder, mixed in some grounded pine nuts, almonds, and they poured in a little bit of water, a little red wine vinegar, threw in a pinch of salt, and voila! They had something that looked like this. North American varieties are bush-like and leafy. Like veritable weeds, they spread widely and quickly. When they blossom, they set fields ablaze in golden color. Originally from Persia and the Middle East, it was a common expression to compare the tiniest things by saying they were as small as a mustard seed. But the mustard seed that Jesus referred to is of a variety known as the Salvador persic, and that is an evergreen shrub that can reach as tall as 20 feet. Its low limbs are so high that a man on horseback could safely pass under it. Other times, the tree limbs will be all intertwined and gnarly looking because they grow as wide as they are tall. Now that we have a little better appreciation about what kind of tree Jesus was referring to when he compared the kingdom of God to it, let's look at the parable. Luke's version and Matthew's version. They are very similar. Matthew gives you a little more detail as far as the description of the mustard tree. If his words over here look a little familiar, it's because that is part of the chorus that I was singing when you found me in the garden. Made popular by Aida on her own YouTube channel. Hello friends, you may notice that there have been a lot of pauses and change in scenes. The sun is unnaturally bright today. Thank you for bearing with us. To start mustard seedlings are really quite easy. They germinate in a week's time, but continuous monitoring and care are needed for them to grow and survive transplantation. My first couple of batches didn't work out so well. They needed warmth and humidity. One time I didn't plant them deep enough. Another time I knocked them over. This is my 4th batch. And with the help of my gardening consultant, Mr. T, I now think they're ready to plant. You see, the innate transforming power to germinate needs time and a supportive environment to grow. Now, Jesus was comparing this mysterious quality to the kingdom of God. This little brown seed looks dead and small. However, it symbolizes the resurrection after death. iStockPhotos.com caught these images of what happens underground as the seed prepares to break the surface. And just like the leavening process occurring inside the dough, remember how I did that last week? That same changing power is happening inside the person and is not immediately visible because it takes time. When it comes to the long-term care needed to ensure our crops' growth and eventual harvesting, the specific activities associated may seem irrelevant or unnecessary, but to a gardener, the daily practice of weeding, watering, these crops are deeply significant. You notice changes, invasive weeds, unwanted pests, overcrowding, extreme soil dryness and moistness, and their effects on the seedlings. How does this development apply to us as human beings? Over time, we observe the external physical growth as a baby matures. She learns from her mistakes. Her parents teach her right from wrong. Along with joyous memories, she will face challenges and struggles that she will have to bear, avoid, or overcome. Developing good habits, be they physical, social, mental, and spiritual, takes practice. This is the challenge involved in choosing a sacramental life. It means you begin to view your life and the kingdom of God as a mystery of growth and transformation, which is found not only in yourself, but in everything in God's creation. Do you possess the will and skill to serve God and your neighbor? Up until now, I've been talking theory, and that can get rather boring. Would you be interested in seeing a modern-day example of such a personal transformation in an entertaining way? Piqued your interest, huh? Check out these scenes from the classic coming-of-age movie, The Karate Kid. A fatherless teenager, Daniel, played by Ralph Macchio, arrives in LA with his mother and faces the challenge of making new friends. He becomes the object of bullying by a menacing gang of karate students, the Cobras, when he strikes up a friendship with the leader's ex-girlfriend. Eager to fight back and impress his new girlfriend, but afraid to confront the dangerous gang, Daniel asks the apartment complex's handyman, Miyagi, played by Pat Morita, whom he learns is a martial arts master, to teach him karate. Miyagi teaches Daniel that karate is a mastery of self, mind, and body that requires intense concentration and practice. Miyagi's instructional style is unusual and difficult to understand, perhaps described as whimsical. The wax-on, wax-off scene captures his paradoxical pedagogical methodology. Miyagi offers his philosophy of karate and life in the following scene.
Walk on the road. Walk right side, safe. Walk left side, safe. Walk middle, sooner or later, get the squish, just like grape. Here, karate, same thing. Either you karate do yes, or karate do no. You karate do gesso, just like grape. Understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Now ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes. Let's make sacred pact. I promise teach karate. That's my part. You promise learn. I say you do. No question. That's your part. Deal?
Steel?
Yes. First wash all the car, then wax. Wax.
Wait, why do I have to wash all the car?
Remember, deal. No question.
Yeah, but
Right. Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off. Breathe. In through nose, out the mouth. Wax on, wax off. Don't forget to breathe. Very important. Wax on, wax off.
Then Miyagi has Daniel paint the entire perimeter fence.
Yeah, I guess that means I could accomplish anything, huh, Mr. Miyagi?
Aye.
No sweat.
At first, you accomplish paint the fence. Eh? That. All in the wrist. Eh? Wrist up, eh? Down. Eh? Wrist, all in the wrist. Up, down, wrong stroke. Ah, very good. Up, down. No, look me, look fence. Eh? Up, down, good. Bend the wrist, down stroke, you bend, see? Ah, good. Wrong stroke, up, down, very good. Knee, bend the knee, come down, high, up. Yes, very good. Daniel son, don't forget to breathe. In, out, up, down, yes, up, down, up, down, up.
The lessons continue with no explanation. Next, Daniel had to paint the house.
Damn it! Can't believe this.
Finally, Daniel has had it. He confronts his teacher about these unreasonable demands. Only at this time does Miyagi explain the purpose of these training exercises. Sometimes things are not what they seem.
Sand the floor. Sand the floor. Big sucker, sand the floor. Sand the floor. Yes. Now show me wax on, wax off. Aye.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Hey, wax on, hot. Wax off, hot. Concentrate. Look at my eye. Lock a hand. Thumb inside. Wax on, hot. Wax off, hot. Wax on, hot. Wax off, hot. Wax on. Wax off. Ush. Show me penta fence. Up, down. Up, down, up, down. Other side. Look eye. Always look eye. Show me paint the house. Side, side. Lock wrist. Side, side. Side, side. Yes. Show me wax on, wax off. That! 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 Show me paint the fence. That! 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 Show me side to side. That! 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 Show me sand or floor. That! 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 Yes. Yes! That! That! Oi. Dang, look eye. Always look eye. Come back tomorrow.
Daniel obeys his teacher and not only develops physical skills, but also self-confidence to successfully compete and beat a superior opponent. Let us look at how Jesus' early disciples were transformed. They were just like Daniel, helpless and hopeless. Based on their experience and place in society, they were politically powerless. How did they become cultural influences? They tapped into the divine power planted within themselves and thus spread the gospel throughout the world. In the beginning, the grace of God acts imperceptibly within the individual. In the beginning, the grace of God acts imperceptibly within the individual. Saint Clement of Alexandria writes, "This grace stings the soul with benefit for us. At first, the commandments of Christ seem bitter and unpleasant. Do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. But when you decide to fulfill them, they become healing and saving, for they renew and transfigure our hearts." So what does this have to do with the mustard seed? Think about it. Jesus used the mustard seed as a metaphor for himself. He was an obscure tradesman from Nazareth. He attracted a few simple fishermen as followers. No big deal, seemingly insignificant. Now, let's look at Luke and Matthew's Gospels. Jesus' parable of the mustard seed shows that in each of us a seed, yes, a seed is planted inside of us that can result in something good. Look at the parable. It says, what is the kingdom of God like? It's like a mustard seed which a man took and put in his garden, and it grew and became a large tree, and the birds of the air nested in its branches. You know, it may take time, it may be confusing, and maybe even painful. Having faith and following through can be hard to do. But out of something seemingly insignificant, like these little mustard seedlings, a mighty force that provides shelter and comfort, like a mustard tree, can bloom and survive and thrive within a harsh and unbearable environment. And just like when I leavened the bread, this growth toward goodness and becoming heavenly and becoming like God is not only a place where you play your harp, okay, but it's a process. Think about that, a process. Now let's get back to this mustard seed. You know, I really wanted the Salvador Perisic variety. That's the one that really grows up tall, like 20 feet. So, you know, I started calling on the phone. And I actually contacted the National Mustard Museum in Wisconsin, of all places, to see if they could help me. With the help of Garth Davis of the Spokane Conservation District, he helped me find this specimen. How big will it grow? When will I be able to reap its fruits? I have to wait and tend to it until it matures. It will take time and effort, but you know, it's gonna be worth it. Just because something starts off small and insignificant doesn't mean it isn't valuable. Patience and humility are virtues that can lead to tremendous results. The very next parable will be on having the faith of a mustard seed and what you can accomplish with it. Now remember, fans, to like, comment, share, and subscribe before leaving this show. And you know how I'm always coming up with wild ideas. I may be starting a new special on TikTok that features the spiritual thought of the day. Stay tuned. And remember, may the peace of the Lord be always with you. Hey, anyone interested in lunch? And you know what I have? Grey Poupon. I made a Cuban sandwich that uses ham, turkey, and cheddar cheese. Anybody hungry? Hey Alex, you want to join me?
On my way.
Jesus said, the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed.